Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. I hope the week's gone well. It's a really wet day out here in Nairobi. Political reflections. Let me start with saying what a lady Nancy Pelosi is. I've always admired her, I must say. Must have been, and I say this with respect, a very good-looking lady. She still is. But she really dealt with President Trump with dispatch. We want America's partners to thrive and prosper. This is Trump's administration's new Africa strategy, which was espoused by John Bolton. The link to the heritage video is on Rich Wrap-Ups, and it all starts at 1 hour, 41 minutes and 50 seconds if you want to jump to the starting point. As of August 2018, the total population of the world exceeds 7.63 billion, continuing to grow each day. However, in some areas, growth is slowing or even declining. China, most populous country in the world, with a population exceeding 1.4 billion, one of just two countries with a population of more than 1 billion, with India being the second. India has a population of 1.355 billion. However, its growth is expected to continue through at least 2050. By the year 2030, India is expected to become the most populous country in the world. Next 11 countries each have populations exceeding 100 million. US, Indonesia, Brazil, Pakistan, Nigeria, Bangladesh, Russia, Mexico, Japan, Ethiopia, and the Philippines. In 2018, the world's population grew at a rate of 1.12% every 5 years since the 1970s. The growth rate has continued to fall. The world's population is expected to continue to grow larger, but at a much slower rate. By 2030, population will exceed 8 billion. In 2040, 9 billion. In 2055, over 10 billion. The current annual population growth estimates from the United Nations are the millions, estimating that over 80 million new lives are added each year. Chigel, who's in Canada, obviously from Chicago, says it was a great run, humans. In the tabloid world, as Trump well knows, it is dog eat dog. And right now, he's the one being consumed, says the New Yorker, talking about his current lofty position being due in large part to tabloid journalism and its offshoots. Interesting article, and how The Apprentice provided a platform for a successful presidential campaign. What greater irony could there be, therefore, than the fact that it is Trump's links to the tabloid world, rather than his campaign ties to Russia or his self-dealing, that is now posing the most immediate threat to his presidency. My article over the weekend was about the Truce dinner in Hue, and I was rather longing for sirloin steaks at Katana Zapata, Nicholas Malbec, and rounded off with caramel rolled pancakes, crispy chocolate, and fresh cream. Dinner that ran over by 60 minutes, and one where the dinner guests broke out into spontaneous applause thereafter. In that same article, I was saying the temptation to mug the handsome Justin Trudeau is something the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia could not resist. And it seems Xi is experiencing the same impulse. China holds legitimacy in detaining 2 Canadians, the Global Times writes. It is quite simple to end the crisis between China and Canada by giving back Meng's complete freedom. Saudi Arabia seeks new political bloc in strategic Red Sea region. This is Reuters. Seeking an alliance with 6 countries bordering the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, a strategic area vital to global shipping and increasingly an arena of contention with regional rivals like Iran, Turkey, and Qatar. Representatives from Egypt, Djibouti, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, and Jordan gathered in Riyadh on Wednesday to discuss the initiative without reaching full agreement. A team of experts is expected to meet soon in Cairo for technical talks. Eritrea, with Red Sea islands and a mainland coastline of 1,150 kilometers, was not present, nor was Ethiopia, which has no access to the sea, but the largest population in the Horn of Africa. This is part of the kingdom's efforts to protect its interests and those of its neighbors, and to stabilize the region that we live in, to try to create synergies between the various countries. The more cooperation and coordination that you have among the countries of this region, the less negative outside influence will be on this region. Saudi Arabia and its Gulf ally, the United Arab Emirates, increasingly view the Horn of Africa coastline as their western security flank, and fear their adversaries could gain a foothold in the region. I wrote about this in August this year, the Indian Ocean economy in a portrait, and I said today from Massawa, Eritrea, admittedly on the Red Sea, Djibouti, from Berbera to Mogadishu, from Lamu to Mombasa to Tanga to Bagamoyo to Dar es Salaam through Beira and Maputo all the way to Durban and all points in between, we're witnessing a port race of sorts, as everyone seeks to get a piece of the Indian Ocean port action. China, the BRI initiative, the Gulf countries who now appear to see the Horn of Africa as their hinterland, Japan and India to a lesser degree, are all jostling, I said, for optimal geoeconomic positioning. And then even before that, August 2013, I said, I have no doubt that the Indian Ocean is set to regain its glory days. Maduro, more than 730 armed thugs are ready to launch provocations and to attack military bases in Venezuela. John Bolton is leading the plan to unleash violence and conduct a coup to introduce a transitional government, Maduro said at a press conference. Bolton is preparing a plan for my assassination. Bolton's plot has been carried out with the heavy involvement of Colombia, with its president Ivan Duque being his accomplice. Maduro then slammed Duque as Washington's puppet who can't even go to the toilet without permission from the US ambassador in Bogota. Of course, in early August, blasts were heard as Maduro attended a military parade in Caracas. The Venezuelan authorities announced it was a failed assassination attempt against the president, which involved drones carrying bombs. And on the 3rd of August, I said President Trump seems to be relishing his financial warfare strategy as Maduro in Venezuela is being attacked by remote control drones. Yemen war, at least 6 times as many killed in conflict than previously thought. The figures do not include the Yemenis who died through starvation or malnutrition. The country is on the brink of famine. According to the UN, coalition has been trying since March 2015 to reinstate in power Mansour Hadi, whose government was overthrown by the rebel Houthi movement in late 2014. It's just a shocking war, and I wrote about it in November last year when I said that then 30-year-old Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, arrived on the scene and immediately launched an unwinnable war with Yemen. Juncker, John Claude, deliberately chose a green tie yesterday morning. Listen to this short video with Michael Heseltine regarding Brexit. I've always been an admirer of Michael Heseltine. It was a shame